Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Presidential Address. It is week 5. I'm pumped to be here. I just got back from a 5-day trip to Las Vegas. Got to see Teddy, got to hang out with Marco, played a ton of poker, and really left my money behind. But that seems to be a general theme when people go to Las Vegas. Anyway, I want to mention a couple of things off the bat, and then we'll get into every single game on the board. So right off the bat, last week we had a client email in and said, why would I buy Prez's picks if he's giving every pick away for free on the NFL Presidential Address? So guys, right off the bat, I do not bet every pick I give on the NFL Presidential Address. So that's craziness. I wish I did. I was like 45-20 going into last week, but I don't. I bet about 3 to 5 plays on a Sunday, maybe 5 to 7 plays on the entire week. And if you want to know what those plays are, then you need to be a subscriber to my package, which you can get at wagertalk.com. No promo this week. We can't do it every week, but I want to give a huge shout out to all of you guys who jumped on that incredible $29 package last week. We had a pretty good week. We had a great week in college football. We did have a bad week in the NFL. I went 1-4 for my clients, lost my teaser bet, won my 5% on Sunday, lost my 5% on Monday. But look, I'm going to have those weeks along the way. I want to make mention before we get into the entire card that week 4 and 5 in the NFL is always tricky. And the reason for that is it's one of those situations where when you enter week 4 and 5, whatever you think you know about a team does not necessarily hold true in those 2 weeks. We saw it with the New York Jets last week. I mean, we saw it with the Chicago Bears. They put 48 yards up in week 3. Then they come out and demolish Detroit. For some reason, these are the 2 weeks where teams step up and give us their all. And then come week 6, we kind of fall back into what we think we know, we actually do know. So always be careful, because teams that are 1-3 right now are not out of it. They can make a comeback, a team like Pittsburgh, although they suck, and I don't think they can make a comeback. But teams that are 1-3 are not out of it. Their season is on the line this week. Teams that are 1-4 are going to be out of it. But 1-3, you're 1 win away from 2-3 as you start your climb towards playoff contention. And that's why this week is a tricky, tricky week. So with all that said, let's get into it. NFL Week 5, the entire board, top to bottom. We start with tonight's game, the LA Rams playing the Seattle Seahawks. The original line was -1. A ton of money has come in on the LA Rams at -2.5, and I completely get it. It makes total sense to me. You have the LA Rams coming off of a heartbreaking, well, not heartbreaking because they got manhandled, but from their perspective, they thought they were much better, and they thought they were ready for Arizona. They've got to be extremely disappointed coming into this game, especially losing to a division rival. They don't want their division record to fall behind. We're going to get their best effort tonight. And then you look at Seattle. Impressive win against San Fran, especially considering Russell Wilson literally put up only 149 yards. Their running game was a hair over 100 yards. They put up like 234 yards the whole game. They were 2-10 on third downs. They literally had 14 first downs in the entire game. There are teams that put up 14 first downs in the first half. A great victory by Seattle, but not impressive. They were literally outgained 457 yards to 234, and yet they somehow held on for a win. I do not believe a team can get almost doubled in yards on a regular basis and continue to win games. They did win the turnover battle against San Fran. That was really what helped them out the most. As for the Rams, I mean, the good news, because I love this team, and I've been telling you that all year. The good news is Henderson in their running game, outstanding last week. And that really is going to be scary. If the Rams can get their running game going with that offense and Matt Stafford behind center, this team could be deadly. I look at these two teams and I think to myself, okay, Russell Wilson's better than Stafford. I don't think he's a ton better, but he's definitely better. Wide receiving core, I make it a wash. Running game, we'll call it a wash. From a defensive perspective, the Rams are just lights out compared to the Seattle Seahawks. And I think that's really what's going to take play in this game. I'm not going to bet this game tonight, but I do lean on the Rams at -2.5. If you guys do see the number 2 out there, I prefer you take it on the money line. Ralph came on WTT Wager Talk today. Last year, we did an extremely deep dive into when you take money line bets, and anything -2 or under, you are better off value-wise to take the money line. So if you're going to bet tonight's game, Rams -2.5, please. Next, we move to the Jets versus Atlanta. The opening line was Atlanta -4.44. It's now -3 with 46s on tap. Clearly money coming down on the New York Jets, and I don't understand why. Look, I have made fun of Zach Wilson for 2 straight shows, and he clearly heard me. Last week, he put up 297 yards, was outstanding in the fourth quarter, led 2 great touchdown drives, and really carried this Jets team with some really talented plays. The Jets D also was excellent, made some very timely stops to allow the offense to get back in this game. With all that said, we've seen this story play out before. I will happily take the Titans on the money line against the Jets 10 times in a row, and I think we would win 8 of those 10 times. I think last week was an anomaly game for the New York Jets, and I think we're going to see them revert back to who they actually are, a team that literally cannot score. Now, I've sworn off the Falcons, and yet I keep coming back to them. But -3, talented offense. They're just, from my perspective, they're better than the Jets on offense by far. And from a defensive perspective, I do give it to the Jets, but not by a ton. The Falcons could literally have won the game last week against the Skins and be 2-2 coming into this week instead of 1-3. I think we have a situation where Atlanta could have won last week but didn't. The New York Jets should have lost last week but didn't. And that's why we have the line so low. I would take the Falcons -3 and under the total in this game as well, under 46. But if you're only going to bet one way, take Atlanta. Miami playing Tampa Bay. Line came out at -9.5. It's now 10. Total was 49.5. It's now 48. Man, if it did not pour in New England, I think that game would have been an absolute blowout. I released Tampa Bay to my clients. I thought Tampa Bay would go in there and demolish the New England Patriots. And we just saw a lot of drop balls. The rain, the weather was absolutely terrible. But with that said, we will never know. And those two teams, the way they're currently structured with Brady and Belichick, they might never play each other again. Real shame. Mother Nature ruined that one. We also know, because the Prez has been telling you for 4 straight weeks, that the Dolphins completely suck. They came into the season, from my perspective, the most overrated team in the league. Tua or no Tua, I thought they would struggle all year. Now the Dolphins sit second worst scoring team in the entire league, 15.5 points per game. They have to play now the 5th best scoring team in the league, 30.5 points per game. How are they going to keep up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Man, the Colts put up 27 on the Dolphins D last week. Imagine how many points the Bucs can put up. With all that said, Remember what we spoke about at the top of the show. This is the week where whatever you think you know, you don't really know. Everything points to Tampa Bay. Everything suggests this game is going to go over. I lean on Miami plus the 10 points, and I do lean on the over as well. But be careful out there, guys. We're going to get Miami's best effort of the year in this game, especially against a Florida rival. Next up is Philadelphia against Carolina, and we had -4 for Carolina. It's now down to -3. The total opened at 46.5. It's now at 45. And Carolina was exposed last week after beating up on 3 shitty teams for the first 3 weeks. However, well, they've been exposed every week except the first week. They are honestly not a good football team. And why should we expect them to be? They have a real young offense, just learning together, a new coach, a new system, an aging D that isn't playing up to what is expected of them. This Philly team is a few years away, and I don't think they are very good this year. As for the Panthers, even though they got beat by Dallas, they were in this game and really only had one bad quarter. This Carolina team has had one bad quarter all season. The Panthers team, regardless of who their first 3 opponents they're a really good team, very well balanced, even without McCaffrey. And they were able to put up 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys, so they're clearly able to convert in the red zone. My pick on this game is Carolina as a short favorite, and I do lean on the under. Next up is New Orleans versus Washington. Opening line of -1. It is now 2, a total of 43. It is now 43.5. And I'm going to make this an easy one. I am passing on this game as I really don't have a clue who either of these teams are right now. This Washington defense was talked about as one of the best defenses in all of football, and yet they stink. This New Orleans team, we saw Jameis Winston whip the ball around, and yet he can't seem to throw very often. Their defense in New Orleans couldn't hold onto a 21-10 lead last week with 8 minutes to go against the Giants, and their secondary just made mistake after mistake after mistake. I am confused at how these teams define themselves. Are they running teams? Are they passing teams? Are their defenses good? Are they bad? We are 4 weeks in, and I still don't have answers to that. And for that reason, I am passing on this game. Next up is Tennessee versus Jacksonville. And Tennessee, -4.5. 48.5 is the total. And I really would like to take Tennessee in this spot, coming off of a humiliating overtime loss when they were ahead going into the fourth. Falling behind in the standings, and a team that really had Super Bowl aspirations coming into this year, especially after they picked up Julio. With that said, I really would like to take the Jags in this spot, a young team who needs to learn how to win, coming off their best game of the season, rallying behind a coach that is getting bad publicity due to his own actions. They moved the ball really, really well. They almost beat Cincinnati. So what do? This is the right spot to take Tennessee. It's the right spot to take Jacksonville. So you pass. This game is not going to happen. There's no bet for me in this game at all. Next up is Detroit against Minnesota. Opening line was -8. We have -9.5 on the board for Minnesota, a total of 49. And this Detroit injury list, oh my God, it's like a MASH unit. Hawkinson's now out, Sewell's out. Can anything ever go right for this team? Cook might be out for Minnesota. Minnie's still hoping that he plays for them. Here's the bottom line. This Minnesota team was a disaster against the Browns, putting up only 1 touchdown. But let's look at it another way. This Minnesota team was absolutely all-world against the Browns, keeping the Browns to only 14 points in an entire game. So how do you bet this game? What do we know? Well, we know Minnie can score. I grant you they only put up 7 points against Cleveland last week, But this Minnesota team can score, they can run, they can throw, they got weapons everywhere. And we certainly know that they can play defense. And we saw that against Cleveland last week. What do we know about Detroit? Well, they're really bad. They suck. There's actually a word in the English language when you rate things in the level of sucking. There's like, you suck, you're awful, you're horrendous, you're Detroit. That's where Detroit sits. Literally in the Webster Dictionary, they are the bottom of all things that are really, really bad. This Minnesota team had high hopes coming into the season. They could get right back in the hunt, especially getting to play the Bears and Lions twice in 17 games. If Minnie is going to get the season going, this game should be a total blowout. I like Minnesota. Take Minnesota -9.5, and I got nothing for you guys on the total. Next up is Denver playing Pittsburgh. Denver was -1.5. It's now a pick 'em, give or take. There's a +1 for Denver out there as well. The total is 40, 39.5, depending on what your out is. Let's break this game down. Pittsburgh is garbage. They're Detroit, for a lack of a better word. Second, they're just terrible. I've been telling everyone all year, this team might not win 4 games, but guess what? They've already won 1, and I know they're going to win their second. I don't know. This is one of those things. This is one of those games where it's like, throw out all the stats, throw out the fact that Denver has been playing really, really well, throw out the fact that Pittsburgh's been absolutely brutal. Mike Tomlin has lost 3 games in a row once in his career. I don't know why, but my gut is telling me take Pittsburgh. I also like the under in this game. I understand this game is 39.5, but Teddy Bridgewater is out. Ben Roethlisberger has been out the entire season. I mean, I know we see him on the field, but he's not actually there. He's just a hologram just standing there, if you will. This game is going to be 17-13, and that's 30 points. That's 10 points less than the under number. Take the under and take the Steelers. Green Bay Packers, -3 going into Cincinnati. Such a weird line, this one. Rodgers and the mighty Green Bay Pack on the road, playing great football, demolishing everybody since game 1, playing the perennially brutal Bengals, and they're only giving up a field goal. Is that how good Cincinnati has become? This Cincinnati team almost lost to Jacksonville last week, but they did show a lot of moxie and played outstanding in the second half. Now, I love Joe Burrows. Like, I think he is the opposite of what we call Detroit. I think this guy is a superstar in the making, but he still needs weapons. He's got a good wide receiving core. If Mixon plays, he's got a good running game, but they're not some world-class offense yet. When you speak to real sharp bettors, you hear all the time, fishy lines. What do the bookmakers know that we don't? Why is this Green Bay line so low? I don't look at this that way. I'm a professional bettor. I never ask why a line is so low. If someone's going to give me a gift, I simply unwrap it. It's not like Green Bay can't go on the road and win games. Ask the Niners. Take Green Bay and take over the total. New England going into Houston -9 and 39.5. Blah, 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 blah. If I speak much about this game, even I might fall asleep. Bottom line, neither of these teams can score. And frankly, it almost seems like neither of these teams want to score. I mean, there's 10 yards you got to get for every first down. These teams are getting 11 yards every 3 downs just so that they can keep the other team's offense off the field. I mean, wow, this game is going to be a complete snooze fest. If my pick on this game, let's just bottom line this. I like Houston plus the 9. I don't really like Houston plus the 9. I just think to myself, New England, 2 scores? They might not even get a touchdown. That's how bad this New England offense, although they're moving the ball up and down the field, they're just not scoring touchdowns. So I'll take the points, thank you. And of course, I like the under in this game as well. Every game New England has played so far this season has gone under, and both these coaches have already shown that they want to play ball control. I would be surprised if this game was any more than a 17-10 type game. None of these teams are putting up 3 touchdowns in this game. I lean on Houston, and I like under the total. Chicago Bears going into Vegas. Minus 5.5 for Vegas. 44 is the total. The Bears 2 weeks ago put up 48 yards. Second worst offensive performance in the Super Bowl era. Everyone was calling for Matt Nagy's head, and what did that tell us? Well, we knew we were going to get a much better effort from the Bears, and we did. Their offense moved the ball. They beat Detroit handily. So what's next? Well, now you look at the Raiders. They were completely out of sync offensively against the Chargers and didn't look anything like the team they were for the first 3 weeks. So here's what we know. Who are the Bears? Are the Bears the team they've been for the first 3 weeks? Or are the Bears the team they were against Detroit? Who's Vegas? Are they the team that they were the first 3 weeks? Or are the team that they were against the Chargers? Well, I think the Bears are the team they were the first 3 weeks. I think they're awful. And I think the Raiders are the team they were the first 3 weeks. And I look at the Charger game as the anomaly. The pick for me, take the Raiders. I think they're a playoff contender. And if they are, they have to win this game. And I think the Bears are a number 1 draft pick contender. Okay, maybe not number 1 draft pick, but they're a top 5 draft pick contender. I like the Rangers minus the points, and I like them a lot. We move on to Cleveland versus the Chargers, -2 for the Chargers, 47 on tap. And this game is really, really interesting. From a season-long perspective, I think the AFC champion goes through either Buffalo or Cleveland. I don't think the championship game will have the Chargers in it. So I think Cleveland is one of the best teams in football, and I think the Chargers are one of the best teams in football next year. I think they're a good team in football, and I think they're going to vie for a playoff spot this year and maybe even get one, but I don't think they're as good as Cleveland. The Chargers are good, guys. They are really good, and they're going to be good for years to come. But it takes a while for a team to transition from perennially losing or being completely mediocre to being a Super Bowl contender. When you look at the Chargers, they are the 4th worst team in football stopping the run. Teams running against them have averaged 140 yards per game, and now they play the best running team in all of football. How the hell are they going to stop Cleveland? Plus, on top of it, if Cleveland is a real contender, they have to win these games. On the road or not on the road, on the West Coast or on the East Coast, it doesn't matter. Cleveland needs to win, and they will. And they're a dog in this game. Take Cleveland. Take them on the money line, guys. I think they get the job done. New York Giants going into Dallas. 52 is the total, -7 for Dallas. You look at Dallas, and this team is outstanding so far, especially on offense. Number 3 in yards gained, number 4 in points scored, and a surprising number 2 in rushing. That's the most balanced offense in all of football, and now they're playing a bottom 10 defense in the league. Oh, the points this Dallas team is about to put up. Dallas gets over 30 for sure, folks. With that said, when you look at the point spread, for some reason, no matter how much better an NFC East team is versus their division rival, and we're talking going back to the Troy Aikman days, these games always seem to be close. I was expecting a decent season from the Giants this year, and we've seen some flashes of what could be a really good offense. The Giants also get to play against a bottom 10D, the Dallas Cowboys. My pick, guys, I lean on the Giants here, but I'm not going to go to the window, but I like over the total of 52. I think you're going to see some long bombs from the Giants, and I think Dallas is going to move the ball on almost every possession. I would be surprised if Dallas punts more than twice. San Fran against Arizona, and what a game this should be. -5.5 for Arizona, a total of 50, a ton of money coming in on Arizona for this game as well. And rightfully so. I mean, you're looking at a team that just beat the LA Rams and beat them handily. The number one team in yards gained, the number one team in points scored. This team is averaging 35 points a game and third in yards in passing. The Cards are just a vicious team offensively. San Fran, number 10 in passing yards, totally dominated Seattle last game, but couldn't get it done. And I don't think San Fran's defense is nearly as good as everyone expected. I'm going to make this easy. I'm not touching the side, but I like over the total in this football game. And now we look at Baltimore versus Kansas City. KC, number 2 in the league in yards gained and points scored, averaging 33 points. They are so incredibly well balanced. They're in the top 5 in rushing, folks. Everyone is talking about, you look at Buffalo, everyone is talking about how Buffalo is all about Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that. And although he is the most crucial player on the team, they're the 5th best rushing team in all of football. I think Kansas City and Buffalo are 2 of the top 4 or 5 most well-balanced offenses in the entire league. We literally have the number 2 and 6 best offense yards-wise in the league, the number 2 and 3 best offense points-wise in the league. So what is the difference between these two teams? Well, Buffalo sits at number 1 in points allowed, 11 points a game. Kansas City, 2nd worst defense in the league, allowing 31 points a game. That is a massive difference. Now, I grant you, Buffalo hasn't played high-scoring teams, and anybody who plays Kansas City is going to put up points against that defense, and given that they're likely playing from behind. But this is a massive discrepancy defensively. My lean on this game is Buffalo, but I like the over. Now, I know all of you guys, over 56.5? Oh, my God. Let me tell you something. I say this all the time, guys. If you take the 3 lowest totals and bet them under, blind, and if you take the 3 highest totals and bet them over, blind, you will have a winning season in the NFL. Take over the total of 56.5. Now we look at Baltimore versus Indianapolis, -7 for Baltimore, total of 45.5. And I mean, Baltimore played great against Denver. Indianapolis got the job done against Miami. Indianapolis is finally off the schneid, got themselves a W. I don't think this Baltimore team is as good as their record. I'm not a believer of this Baltimore team. I was very impressed with Lamar last week. He threw tons of long bombs. He also has the highest yards per completion percentage in the league, and he did last year as well. I mean, the guy throws the ball far. With that said, I think you got a situation where Indy finally got a win. Their division is a disaster. They know they could get back into this. They're getting 7 points. I like Indianapolis in this game, and I like under the total of 45.5 as well. And that's the NFL card, top to bottom. Now we move into the Andy Lang segment, prop bets for week 5 in the NFL. After that, we'll do best bets and then our teaser segment, Survivor as well. Now we got to bring in our resident prop bet expert, a man who you can find at wagertalk.com. And honestly, one of the best prop bettors I've ever seen in my life. Andy Lang, I hand the mic to you.
Thank you, Prez. Had a good week last week, 11-5 in official prop bets on wagertalk.com. We got 3 props in 3 minutes for everybody today. Then we'll get back to Prez's best bets. Let's get going with the props. First prop, Zach Moss, over 8.5 rush attempts. The Bills are playing the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are one of the worst rush defenses, if not worst, in the league. They give up 5.4 yards a carry and a league worst 8 rushing touchdowns surrendered through weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to look at Zach Moss's attempts here. The Bills can certainly get in a shootout with Kansas City. They have the weapons, but they can really control the time of possession if they want to and keep Mahomes on the sideline. I think that's going to be the plan of attack. They're going to do that with Singletary and Moss. Moss has flown over this rush attempts total the last 2 weeks, getting 13 and 14 carries in those games, both of those in blowout wins. But if you're looking for the weakness of the Chiefs, it's their rush defense by far, and the Bills have the weapons to exploit it. I'll expect Moss to be a big part of the offense and get to double-digit carries. Take Zach Moss over 8.5 rush attempts for prop number 1. Prop 2, Hunter Renfrow over 4.5 receptions. This has been a real popular one in the prop world. He's hit this in every game this season. He's gotten 6, 5, 5, and 6 catches in his 4 games, and he's averaging 7.2 targets each game. Derek Carr has already attempted 170 passes. That's third in the NFL. So we know the Raiders are going to be throwing, and with the injuries in the Vegas backfield, they're going to be more reliant on the passing game, and Chicago's rush defense ranks in the top half of the NFL in yards allowed rushing. So I'm not going to expect a lot of rushing yards from the Raiders. Henry Ruggs is a deep threat, but Renfrow is their possession receiver, which means a lot more catches underneath. Expect a lot of attention to go to Darren Waller, leaving Renfrow open to get over this 5 catches. I expect this to go 5 for 5 to start the NFL season. And final prop, Aaron Jones under 64.5 yards rushing. Bengals are a top 7 rush defense. They only allow 3.7 yards per carry. And on the season, Aaron Jones is only averaging 3.7 yards per carry. Last week, he had 15 carries for 48 yards against Pittsburgh. That's only a 3.2 average. And the Steelers are a similar elite rush defense like Cincinnati. Rodgers and the Packers have no problem leaning on one aspect of the game if another working. So they'll be quick away to get away from Aaron Jones if in the running game if they have success passing. The other aspect of this play, don't forget about A.J. Dillon. He got a majority of the work killing the clock last week, rushed for 81 yards on 15 carries. So if the Packers are ahead or behind, Jones is not guaranteed all of his rushing attempts and rushing yards. I'm going to go with the under on his rushing yards in this game. That is prop 3. Prez, let's hear your best bets, man.
Andy, awesome stuff, man. And don't forget, we got a banged up Aaron Jones as well. So outstanding 3 prop bets. And like always, I'll be betting all of your prop bets, the 3 on this show and your client bets that I have access to. Now we'll move to the best bet segment of the show. Last week's best bet record, 2-1. The total best bet record on the season so far is 9 wins and 3 losses. I did lose my teaser last week. Tennessee let us down. I am 3-1 in teasers on the week. So basically, I am 12-4 in my picks that I give out on the show. As for my record for every game on the board, coming into last week, I was 45-20. I got home very late last night from Las Vegas, and I was unable to go through the entire card last week to see how I did. So I don't know. I do not believe I did that great, but I will get those numbers done, and I'll have them ready for the next show. As for your best bets for this week, take the Falcons, take the Packers, and take the Patriots under the total. That's the Atlanta Falcons -3, the Green Bay Packers -3, and the Patriots under the total of 40 or 39.5. Teaser-wise, passing this week, I got nothing for you guys. Sorry about that. As for your survivor play coming up this week, I lost my survivor pick in the Circa on New Orleans. I only have one survivor play left for this coming week in the Circa, and I am yet to decide which team to take. So I have nothing to help you with in Survivor this week as well. But guys, if you're playing the Circa, you cannot take Dallas. You cannot take teams like Arizona. Remember, you got Christmas and Thanksgiving that you have to take into account, and there's only 3 games each one of those days, and some of them are super bloody close. So my suggestion is keep Dallas and keep Arizona for those weeks. I'm Lawrence Presman. That's the NFL Presidential Address. I will have 4 plays up for my clients in NFL this week, 6 plays altogether in college football this week, and I will be playing the baseball playoffs, and I am 21-10 the last 2 years of baseball playoff betting. I'm Lawrence Presman. Next week we'll be taping on Wednesday. Take care of yourselves, and I hope the ball bounces in the exact direction you need.